The next topic is the COVID-19 virus's effect on our legal system. Now, I want to talk about this because it's very important and the effect is profound. I've been an attorney for more than 24 years. I've been through a lot of changes, a lot of things in society. I've seen a lot in my time. This one is different. It really is going to affect you if you have any kind of interaction with the legal system. So what are those changes? How is it affecting the legal system? Well, first of all, you're probably not going to be able to see your attorney in person. That's extremely important when you have a critical legal matter and you're trying to figure out, is this a person I want to trust with handling this matter? Likewise, it's really important for your attorney when they're talking to you to be able to pick up on body language and things that really concern you. Let's face it, it can be very difficult to talk to an attorney, and just being with them many times, or at least in my experience, while I'm sitting across the desk from someone, I'm able to kind of get them to relax and to get rid of some of the fear that surrounds a lot of legal problems. So that's the first big thing. Now, the way we've been handling that, of course, is like a lot of others, is doing things over the telephone, but of course, I like to try to use video conferencing whenever I can. I know a lot of people don't have special equipment or webcams, but we're actually doing it right over people's mobile device. And you're having the conversation, but there's that other element of being able to talk to the person one-on-one, being able to look at documents and do things like that. The other thing I'm trying to do is to get as much of the documents to my office before the consultation so that I can really look at it and not have to be going back and forth with you while you're sitting across from my desk. Now, that's the basics just about the attorney-client relationship, but really what's happening is there have been drastic changes in laws, the likes of which I have not seen in my practice and which I think are really unprecedented in our country's history. For example, we have such things as the eviction moratorium. We have foreclosures being put on hold. We have the federal government getting involved with the housing market. A lot of this affects tenants and landlords, lenders, and people that owe money on their mortgages. Now, I practice in Oregon, and you may or may not have heard the news that our governor and other governors around this country are doing things called executive orders. And the scope of these orders is very broad. And already they've encountered some challenges within our court system. So these are things that you really need to know about. There's landmines that you might be facing. I think the worst thing that you could do would be to, if you do have a legal problem, for instance, you're not able to pay the mortgage or you haven't been paying your rent, is to get complacent and think, well, gosh, I'm protected now, and just sort of pretend like the problem doesn't exist. No, that's not a good way to go. It's really worth it to have a talk with an attorney because this problem is eventually going to reach you when we get to the end of this crisis. And the problem with the rent you're behind or the mortgage payments that you haven't made is still going to be there. Now, what if you're a landlord? Well, you feel like your hands are tied and there's nothing that you can do. But actually, there are some things that you can do that are legal that we can walk you through. Now, the goal here is to get the relationship with your tenant, relationship between tenant and landlord, so that these people can work together. The landlord wants to collect their rent. The tenant would like to have a place to live. And most importantly, that tenant probably is going to need a good rental reference down the road. So certainly as a tenant, you want to do what you can because that landlord could be very mad at you at the end of this when you have to move and you're going to get a terrible rental reference. So just something to think about. Same thing as a landlord. You want to have a good reputation. You don't want to get in trouble with the law. And you want to be a responsible member of the community now that we are in this unprecedented crisis. I want to give a special message, especially to you tenants out there that haven't been able to pay rent during this time. The governor's order does require you to pay what you can pay and also to communicate with your landlord about your ability to pay or the problem that you're having. Now, that's what you're required to do. It's common sense as well. You really should do that. Landlords, you're not allowed to interfere with that tenant's right to possess the property, but certainly you can communicate about other things. Now, I just want to talk briefly about how COVID-19 has affected our court system. What if you do have to get into court? Court operations are drastically reduced in the state of Oregon and California. This is going to make it very hard for you to get into court or to be brought into court. There are innovative alternatives that we're looking at, that other people in the legal community are looking at, and I really encourage you to reach out to us if you're feeling frustrated or feel like there's nothing you can do. It's worth your while to talk to us to get some peace of mind and maybe some options that you hadn't thought of.